These are delicious, healthier peanut butter oatmeal chocolate chip cookies. And these I made with a special ingredient. I made it with whole wheat flour and grinded oats. Check out the recipe. I have the recipe right here, which the recipe calls for, I don't know if you guys could see that. It calls for 1.5 cups of all-purpose. So what I did was I used whole wheat flour, and I used oats. Now, if you don't want to use that flour, use any flour that you want. But grinded oats came out just perfect. And this is a recipe that I adapted. So I used the peanut butter. You can use any nut butter that you want, and it came out just perfect. And I actually only used a half a stick of butter, which it calls for 1.5. You can substitute the butter for coconut oil. Just beat it in with the peanut butter. Comes out just perfect. Doesn't change the flavor at all. This recipe calls for 2/3 of a cup of brown packed sugar. That makes a huge difference. Now you can use your sugar-free brands of your brown sugar if you want, and it also calls for 1/3 cup of granulated sugar. Now for that 1/3 cup, you can choose to add honey if you want. Use any sweetener that you want, but I would recommend not leaving out the brown sugar. Now it calls for 2 eggs and chopped peanuts if you want, and chocolate chips. Now again, to make this healthier, substitute the flour for a healthier flour. Like I use grinded oat flour, works perfect. I use extra peanut butter and only use a tiny bit of butter. And then I used exactly the 2/3 cup of brown sugar, but they have many different types of sugar. They have sugar-free versions. You can experiment. I tried it with honey and the brown sugar. It works just perfect. Now again, here's the other recipe right here. Now it says preheat your oven to 350, and in a small bowl combine your baking soda, salt, and then in a mixing bowl beat your peanut butter, your butter or your coconut oil, your brown sugar, and your sugar until creamy. Now that is crucial to making a perfect cookie. Now look at these cookies again. Look at these. Perfect. You can't even tell that these were made with oats. Look. Perfect. Follow that step. Make sure your butter's softened or your coconut oil softened, and beat it in there with the peanut butter and the sugar. Make sure everything's very fluffy. That's going to give you that pretty texture. Then add the eggs in one at a time and just follow the rest. And then you see it's bake at 350 in a preheated oven for about 9 to 12 minutes until golden brown. And this makes 4 dozen cookies. Now again, this is a full fat recipe, but I also cut the recipe in half and made it healthier by substituting the sugars and the butters. And if you don't want peanut butter, use almond butter, Nutella. You can use that. And then substitute the flour for a healthier flour. I used oats in these ones, and you can't even tell. Look, perfect, delicious, chewy, wonderful, full of flavor. They're full of flavor, and they're just so delicious. You can also bake these into a brownie. I'll post the other recipe for my 4-ingredient peanut butter brownies. Well, the 4-ingredient peanut butter brownies is 3 eggs, a cup of peanut butter, creamy peanut butter, 3/4 of a cup of brown sugar or honey of your choice, and a half a cup of oat flour or flour of your choice. Whip it all up in the thing. Bake it at 350 for about 25 minutes until set, and you'll have yourself a delicious, moist peanut butter chocolate chip brownie. And that's it, you guys.